Jimmy. You got the same hat on or some shit. Unless I'm watching the stream. What's up? Wife went to the store and got me coffee, but she got me a small cup of coffee. Well, she got herself a small and me a large, but she dropped my large. So we can.
Welcome in, welcome in. We got a good question to start the episode today. How's everybody doing? And while I set a couple things up for you, we get into the read. And let you know my question poses, as usual, around the Chicago Bears. The Bears have been a staple of the NFL for decades. Recent years, as me and my co-host both know, we struggled to find consistency of any sort and very little success. So new management's been in place for a while, and now we have a new regime in terms of the coaching direction. The question posed is, can they finally turn things around and bring a championship, or at least some playoff consistency to the Windy City as a whole? I don't know about those things, but we're going to try to get into some strengths and weaknesses and maybe analyze those wholesale changes. So with that being said, welcome in everybody to our first Sunday edition of Mailbox Sports. I am your host, Postman 1914. No cliches and No Fan Clubs today. And joining me is our post owner Chicago Sports in the Desert, Mr. Bluefax. How are we doing today? What has got you going today, sir? What up with you?
Oh man. Not much. It's Sunday. Typically, I like to use this as my free day, and got up this morning. Was kind of surprised. I got a bunch of stuff on my schedule that shouldn't be on there. So today I'm just kind of working through it. But having a good Sunday, man. Cubs are winning, so that's always a good thing.
Mighty ironic you speak of the Cubs. Welcome in, Marcus. How you doing today? Before we get to my Cubs chat, Marcus says, "Let's go, Pools. Can't wait to sweep you again." So we Pooh Bears out there. Your bums, go Lions. Appreciate it. Appreciate you and appreciate you.
Oh,
I like how that works out. Go right ahead, Mr. Lions fan.
okay.
He got ample reason to feel that way, because in recent times, what have we done to dissuade?
He doesn't have ample.
Yeah. No. Hey, he good. He real good about it. If he want to go ahead and give himself any sort of props to see if that bodes well for him this year, I'm all about the banter or the shit talking. I think when the players on their team illustrate the panic of losing the people that they lost, I'm gonna go people that's in the locker room and see how far the Lions go. Go Lions. With that being said, welcome in again.
Well, they're my second favorite team in the division.
They used to be,
It
but
was our Mississippi for a long time.
yeah, and it wasn't even about being on Mississippi. It was just more so
Okay.
the fan base had a bit of humility to them, and I thought it was because they were just a humble, gritty city type of environment. But it come to find out just because they was losers. So
They got real loud.
yeah,
real quick.
yeah, you got real loud when you wasn't
Like
when the Lions
3
wasn't
years.
lying. Yeah, then it's like I get it, it makes sense. Nonetheless, we will get straight into the junk mail portion of our season. It was of our season because our season was junk, trash. If you want to talk about it, Marcus. But the Bears did end last season with a victory over the bum ass Packers. We did end the 10-game losing streak, and the question that we have is: will those streaks cease to exist in the future, Mr. Bluefax? Starting in the Ben Johnson era, do you think such 10-game losing streaks and pure ineptitude will cease to exist in the future for the Chicago Bears?
I'm a fan. Yes, of course I believe that. I wouldn't. The days would suck if I didn't. So yeah, you want to know why I think that, or you just
Because that's a hope more so by all fans. But what gives you confidence that that's an actual statement to be made?
It's a combination of different things, right? So one, I think maybe one of the most difficult things to do in sports is to change a culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think one, that doesn't happen overnight. Two, you have to have buy-in, so you can't simply just have speeches and documentaries to make that happen. So I think he's doing a good job thus far of trying to change the culture, right?
Okay.
He's when presented tough questions by the media about how is this going to be different, and the news that came out about Caleb and all these things, he approaches those questions with a level of motivation. He's excited about the opportunity to exceed expectations versus kind of some of the things I've seen in the past with coaches who have tried to do some of the same things, right? So, and he's, for example, the starting lineup, the roster, blank, everybody. No one, even Caleb, isn't listed, right? I think feels gimmicky, right? As somebody who has kind of experienced some of those things, but at the same time, it's setting a standard. It's getting to, we're starting fresh. The idea that, I think Bajent said that, how is he being coached differently? Very meticulous about the details, right? We're going to hit people. We're going to simulate game activities before the game and not just expect those things to happen, right? Knowing where I'm accountable and what I'm supposed to do on every play. Getting to that level of detail, making sure that we're able to execute. If we've both seen the Bears struggle in practice, you'd hear reports of things not going well in practice, right? Like the idea that it cannot go well in practice because we have a top defense is just nonsense. You have to be able to get touchdowns, first downs, productivity in a practice, and to understand that we're not just hoping for that thing to transition because the defense is not going to be as good as our defense, are things that like I can't hold a lot of value in. And so understanding that those things are important is going to be huge for us. And he's starting to do those things already.
I can understand that one on the whole.
Makes sense.
It does. Obviously, I'm gonna have a few thoughts with the depth chart bravado, as I might call it. While I
Right.
totally understand it, I not in a bad way. Still know it's gimmicky because there are certain people on your depth chart, i.e., number 18, that guy you just traded
Okay.
for with a high draft pick, Rome, DJs. Let's be honest, those will not, under any circumstance, barring injury, not be your starters. So,
No, I totally agree.
while I
I totally agree. But
understand it
he's
sets the tone and it
yeah, it sets
conveys
the
a
tone. It
message
sets a
that you want
standard.
to.
Everybody must work, right?
It
When he
does.
was asked, sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, I mean it absolutely does. It's just the instance that uh, two things can be true. It is totally gimmicky,
Hmm.
but it conveys the message that it needs to, and I think it will be received well within the locker room where it needs to be.
Right.
Our perception about it, obviously we can take it in multiple ways, but I do think that it gives us a lot more of an opportunity to see, to bear fruit from said gimmick, if I want to even look at it that way.
Right.
But
Yeah, I think like when he was asked, for example, like how what are you going to do to make this an easy transition for Caleb early on, and what things can you do to make this quarterback friendly as far as the offense goes? Like the answer that this is not going to be easy. This is going to be hard. This is professional football. He's playing the toughest position. This isn't about making it easy for him. This is about putting him in a situation of uh, putting him in a situation that he can so he can succeed. And so the idea that like you're going to have to work, you're going to have to be here early and stay late. We're setting a new standard. This is not going to be conducive solely for you. And so, yeah, that's the standard is the standard essentially. You must work.
gave him some Tomlin. The standard is the
Yeah, you
standard,
must work.
and I think that's going to be seriously and heavily enforced throughout the course of the season. Like and we will get into a lot of what I think is Caleb unpacking in a multitude of ways later in the show. But it does, I think start at the top and trickle down, and in that chain of command, your quarterback will be under your coach, and so he's the de facto on the field coach. I think in his second year, whether it be some people try to quantify it as his first year. I have to look at the number one overall draft pick and hold his feet to a different fire, unfortunately. And so he doesn't get the same outs or reprieves that others might get, in my opinion, only because you got other people in your draft class that you're going to be compared to. And they're making strides and doing things that are reminiscent of greatness. When you get picked before them, you got to continue to prove that you are at least on said level, if not better, and prove that your draft pick was warranted. So I think he has a opportunity this year to go ahead and do some wonderful things in all aspects on the field and off. But it starts, after the mini camp aspects and everything for the people we'll get to talk about right now. I do think that it's incumbent upon Caleb to go ahead and get the work started and show
Yeah.
improve from day one and kind of, for lack of a better term, hit the ground running. With that being said, we will talk about in the post office. We get things called new growth, any new developments or what have you that might come onto your route, transitions and so on and so forth. Today, those new growth opportunities are going to come in the form of our rookies. As we know, the draft is finished. We got undrafted free agents. They had rookie minicamp. You even signed some guys that were just signed for the purposes of rookie minicamp. So some other guys made some, what's the word I'm looking for? Impressionable displays out there to get signed besides being a camp invite. So with that being said, is there anybody on the rookie class, undrafted or in the draft class, that excites you the most, Mr. Bluefax?
Well, we didn't go where I wanted us to go. But with that being said,
But
I
if
think
we could, let's refresh. Where did you want them to go?
I mean I wasn't against Genty. Um,
Okay, yeah,
that's just
get it. Okay, yeah, he wanted
that's
to
just
run
the
it back.
fan in me, right?
Okay,
That's just the fan. I understand. We are where we are. But I think our first two picks, I like a tight end, right? Like I feel if he's as advertised, more of a stretch tight end, more of a Kittle's stress in the middle of the field. I think Ben Johnson can utilize that as an asset. So I think one of the things I noticed when we drafted offensive players, as opposed to going down the defensive path, I think that's what happens when you pick up an offensive minded quarterback. You did a lot of work to be able to use that talent, right? So you went and got a receiver, you went and got a tight end, but you didn't maybe do what we've done in the past, which is just assume that the offensive line would get better or more cohesive in another year. So we actually went and got who offensive linemen that have shown productivity, that have been to Super Bowls, who have been all pros, right? So I think it would have been very immature to go get weapons that it doesn't really matter if Caleb can't stay standing. So with him, with the offensive line that we had last year, him still throwing for 3,500 yards, I think we should be able to leverage the weapons in the draft by showing the offensive line and in a meaningful way, as opposed to going to get a bunch of new talent where we still have to hope that it works out. We got people who played Super Bowls and very productive here in the recent past.
and for
Like
me,
I have confidence in that.
you got and you have confidence in him being able to, and the coach being able to do wonderful things with said player, or more confidence in the player.
I got confidence in it because I've seen both of them do what we're asking them to do. They're just putting on a different jersey. I've seen Ben Johnson construct an offense that could be productive very recently, and I've seen offensive linemen in all three of the ones that I'm talking about specifically be productive offensive linemen. I'm not asking them to do something they haven't done before. I'm asking them to do what they've done in the last year or two, but with a different color jersey on. So I'm not asking for anything that I haven't already seen.
I can understand that. That's what I think. For me,
Yeah.
if I had to talk about probably my favorite draft pick, it might actually be the one that I had much of a head scratch about, and that's the wide receiver Luther Burden.
Mm.
The way in which Luther speaks, because we talk about people with chips on their shoulders, and the way in
Right.
which Ben talks and Ben's interviewing skills, I think, are impeccable, and they kind of get you going just based on the things that he says, because I think he understands the task at hand. Nonetheless, when we speak about Luther and you have his press conferences, you get to watch his highlights, his tape, and minicamp and everything else. The dude say every team that passed on him gonna get this work, and he ain't have a smile on his face, but a real smirk. So I think,
Right.
in a sense, one, I didn't think he told not one lie. I think he won all the smoke.
I believe that. Yeah.
Two, I think that seeing a guy playing Missouri, Chase Daniel was the last Missouri quarterback I can name,
Hmm.
and Chase played 15, 16 years in the league in various spurts, including with the Bears. So he ain't playing no more. What I'm saying is you had absolutely nothing thrown to you your whole career in college, but yet you made some slap on that level. We expect the coaching staff, i.e., this dude named Antoine Randall L.
Yeah.
Ironically, my favorite coaching hire.
There's a lot there too in that coaching staff.
Like you understand that I think he gets the absolute most out of every wide receiver because he comes at it from a different lens. And so while there are questions I have about a couple people within the offense, I think anybody that is on this roster when the season starts has an opportunity to be displayed in a way that they've not been displayed before. And when I say that, I don't quantify that specifically in all stats, but I think everybody will have the opportunity to open eyes to the way a competent coaching staff, or let's just use it as a race car driver, they're going to show you how to drive the car for real. Like you had this car in the garage all this time and you think it's okay, but you're ready to sell it. And then somebody come in, show you like you just wasn't putting this particular clutch on. Boom, boom. You were skipping past that gear. And now this car is everything that you thought it was when you bought it. I think we got that type of coach right now. I think we got that coaching staff. And specifically on offense, Luther is the guy that really gets me going. Conversely, on defense, Dennis Allen has a propensity to be the guy who likes to get more nasty out of his defense. A lot of blitz schemes. I think those blitz schemes obviously help out the vets like Kyler. But I think getting a guy that was somewhat underrated in Shamar Turner because of the aggression that he might have shown too much of in college. I think that the defensive line coach and the defensive coordinator will have the best opportunity to make that dude so much more of a Grady Jarrett clone throughout the course of his career, and you learning it specifically from Grady. So I think that, while people kind of overlook those particular draft picks, and I say overlook lightly because they're second round picks, that's one that I think stands out. For undrafted people, Tasheem Green is a 6'2", I think 204-pound defensive back is what I'll classify him as. They say corner.
Is it 6'4"?
I think he's 6'3". Could be 6'3", 204.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But big body guy. Somebody they look at that's alleged to crack the 53-man roster. Also, Power Echols is a linebacker from Carolina. A bit undersized, but knows how to get to the quarterback, has some drop back skills, and allegedly has an array of moves in terms of pass rush moves. So you're not a one-trick pony. You just don't share blocks well. So hopefully those techniques will be a bit more refined. You'll get some seasoning to your body. I think those types of ways in which the new coaching staff, the Al Harrises, when we talk about Tasheem, talk about Tariq has already been in, what I want to call cornerback rehab with him already in terms of the things he's given him, giving a home workout already well before the season started, and everybody meets the expectation because the expectation, like you said, the standard is the standard. And so I think the coaching staff will have a culmination of their infusion of hard work ethic, and getting the most out of talent. And I think conversely, like you said, the Bajents of the world, even as a backup, can appreciate the meticulous way in which they plan out things, and they want to go out and execute that plan because it's been clearly devised for them, by them in some ways, and that was expected to be implemented because of them. So I think that gives them great credence. We move on to our next question in there, because we did talk about roster construction. Two people that have come up numerous amounts of times for trade horizon talk. Do you think either Cole Kmet or one of my favorites, DJ Moore, will be traded before the season starts? You know, and I ask that because they talk about Trey Hendrickson coming to the Bears and making money work, and Cole's contract is one of the only ones that gives them the flexibility to kind of give Trey a little bit of money. Conversely, you talk about the Luther Burden draft pick and the fact that DJ last year uncharacteristically showed some improper body language working with a rookie quarterback for the first time. So just out of speculation, yeah, I mean, it's first time, but, you know, not the worst talent, but the first time a rookie signal caller. With that being said, do you see either one of those guys being on the move?
I would say that I do not. I don't see DJ going anywhere. First and foremost, I think until we get more productivity out of some of the roster now on the receiving core, I don't see him going anywhere. I don't think he's replaceable or not easily replaceable. I don't think Komet's going anywhere either. Could I see would I have an issue with Komet going if it had something to do with the Henderson trade? No, I wouldn't have an issue with it, but I don't see him going anywhere either. I think from the standpoint of an offensive line, Caleb Williams being able to have, you know, options, being able to gel with, you know, the receiving core, I think we need to see how that comes to fruition, you know, just being comfortable with the people, you know, on the roster. So I want things to stop changing. I think we've made a lot of changes, and I think we need to solidify some of the basics. But I would not want DJ to go anywhere, and I would not want Cole Kmet to go anywhere unless Cole Kmet is going somewhere based off of the fact that it's going to help us get the defensive players we need to, you know, pass rush. So I don't want him to go, but I think he's more replaceable than DJ just based off of what we did with Littler.
I can understand that. Now, for me personally, Ben Johnson likes to run a lot of two tight end sets, and I don't think Ben's ever had the combination. Well, many people have had the combination like this, except for the Patriots. It's at one point in their run as being a dynasty. I don't think they've had two different skill sets to complement each other so well. And while I do think Cole would fit into the lesser in terms of the stat line for the two tight ends, and just only so that I don't bring up somebody else's name to give him any particular credence. Rest in peace anyway. Kratos, how you doing today? Go Pack Go. Is this the NFC North Hate Edition? Let's go. Hey, I'm with all the smoke, and usually I'm, especially with the Packers, one to shut what they call the fuck up, because I got no license to really say shit being 1-11 in the last 12. That changes this year, sir.
But they not going nowhere. They ain't winning no Super Bowl.
I don't care. Only one team can win the Super Bowl. I want to be at the dance that gives me an opportunity, and I want to step on their face in order to get there. You know, not step over them. Nothing gentleman-like. I want to Ndamukong Suh right on over to the playoffs.
The Lord knows what's in my heart.
Yeah. I mean, the
Lord knows.
Sorry. Go Pack, go. I want them to go somewhere. But welcome in, Kratos. How you doing today? Hope you are enjoying the stream. You can give me any thoughts you got about your Packers, Lions, or the Bears. Feel free as we move into my thoughts about Cole Kmet being traded. I do not, under any circumstance, I repeat, unless it's a one-year deal, don't want Trey Hendrickson on my team. I'm sorry to be the person that's early to the party, but
sounds like sorry, not sorry.
I do not think that a 30-year-old pass rusher is worth me giving $25+ million to for multiple years under the guise that his productivity is going to remain steady or increase. I think it only decreases, and I think the capital that I have to give up for him, not knowing what I actually have on my own roster, is insidious, and I say it because of this.
Insidious.
It is. The next question for us is what pivotal things have to happen to set the Bears on the path to consistent high-level play. We spoke incessantly about the coaching staff and the things we think they will do to put the players in the best possible position to succeed. And so if I would think that, why would I not think that a person like Gavon Dexter, a Grady Jarrett, a Odangbo, Montez Sweat, Billings. The list can go on and on. Why would I not think that they'd be able to put those players in the best possible position to succeed at a high level? Because I've not seen the majority of those players be on my team, so they are all new additions, for lack of a better term. And I don't know how any one of them will be deployed in a Dennis Allen system because we have an entirely new staff and a new vision. So for me, I think that the team has done, while like we spoke of earlier, they have addressed the offensive side a bit more than the defense. I think they have sufficiently addressed the defense in staff and personnel, and I don't think anybody has seen anything other than last year's results that didn't feature the people that we just spoke about, minus Billings and Dexter. Those people weren't here. So how can I say that we haven't addressed it, and why do I feel that we would have to go and spend, rumored second round picks and Cole Kmet to acquire a guy that I don't want to give a 4-year deal to, or a 3-year deal, or anything of that sort, because he's a bit older. Don't want it.
Okay.
Okay, and real quick before we get into it, Squeegee, how you doing today? George McCaskey, Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren still manage the team. So how is this new management? New management in terms of the style. As we know, they've spoken a lot about the way in which management handled business this year to acquire coaching talent, from the recruitment process down to the hiring. And so to have the red carpet proverbially rolled out, to have Kevin this year, not last year was more of an observation year. This year was more him being involved to kind of help oversee some things, or in conjunction work with Ryan. And as I stated, the hiring of the coaching staff, if it is what we think it is, Squeegee, will give credence to the fact that Ryan did hire said coach. Ryan has been influential and integral into the roster construction. If those coaches get what we think they will get out of said players that Ryan has drafted, and the only thing that is different, is the same, and we can't change that, is George McCaskey, and he's ownership, not necessarily management. And so I think the way in which the operating last year was the first time we fired a coach in season. Those types of things were I think the kickoff to how the difference in the way in which you operate can show you that you are under new management per se, in the sense that maybe the ownership was not allowing you to act like you are new management at one point. And we finally had a come to Jesus meeting with 2 people instead of 1. And both of them had you see reason that this was the way in which we got to get it done. Not sure that it's going to bear flowers this year, just yet. At the same time.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So in terms of how is it different, I would say that going into last season, the roster that was constructed, no one expected 5 wins, right? So we put together a roster, even, big talking heads, large personalities. We're assuming that the team will have more productivity. And so in terms of how is it different, I don't know that Ryan Poles, I don't know that anyone out in addition to Ryan Poles went into last season expecting, the productivity. We lost games that we should have won, close games. I think in terms of how the roster was constructed, it made sense in terms of the weapons that we had from a receiving core, from running back, from a quarterback who we know can be productive. Picking up Montez Sweat, who led 2 teams in sacks last year. We didn't get the same productivity, so I would say that in addition to not just this season going forward, but last season we started to make some moves, started to do things that make sense. We stopped moving and operating like we were looking at players on a spreadsheet and trying to make a budget, and actually started to put talent in places where we hadn't had talent before. In terms of how that then manifests way onto the field, coaching staff, I think, go a long way this year with Ben Johnson bringing in, people who can continue to move the team forward. Brought a lot of people from Lions coaching staff. That goes a long way when you're not in the room, and being able to still carry on the message and be consistent. When Ben Johnson has to leave, go somewhere else, having Randall L in the room and being able to continue to, push that message and set the standard and hold people accountable, I think that goes a long way. So all of that just comes to, I think, a tipping point of moving forward. There, we can talk all day about what we used to be. We got Lions fans in the chat that used to be really bad. You only transition from that when you start to make changes. I think what goes a long way for us this season is having early on success, right? I think that will help culture largely, just because that doesn't mean coming out winning 4 or 5 games, but having success and have moments where we're being productive, and so people can buy in a little bit deeper into what we're trying to do. I think as a young team, we do have some veterans from an offensive line standpoint. Now, some of the guys who picked up from the defensive side, I think they can set a standard in the locker room, and that's going to go a long way. But those early wins and difficult games and tight moments will go a long way in terms of us being able to keep that momentum going forward.
I can dig that. Same time, I'm going to have to give a little bit of credence to the way in which Squeegee thinks about it, because as we talked about with the Lions were lying until they weren't lying anymore.
Right.
And so, like you said, those things are things that we anticipate or would expect to see in order to go ahead and verify or validate said thoughts, until such a time the skepticism from a lot of Bears fans, and fuck Green Bay, just like Squeegee said, will persist, and it will be kind of valid at this point. Just because until otherwise known, it seems to be that we have become the Lions of the division, and we got to kind of claw our ways on out of that. While we talk about that, before we move into anything else, go ahead, if you are new to the chat, like, share, and subscribe to the page. Anybody got any questions, feel free to go ahead, just like it says, and email us at mailboxsports@yahoo.com. We will get back into the chat. Arlington Bears is what a lot of people give me. The Arlington Heights Bears, they give me a lot of this foolishness when they say it, just because they don't want to say the Chicago Bears like people play in their own city. My question to you in the chat is, do you think that the news recently on the stadium is starting to convince you that management has made a decision on where the new stadium will be?
So I'm over this conversation. I think Kevin Warner came in pretty, I won't say, he's kind of, excited. He had a certain path forward, maybe something that he relied on with Minnesota. As somebody who's lived in Minnesota and someone who's lived in Chicago, it's a different dynamic, right? I think being able to get things done in a way that was beneficial to both the team and the city in Minnesota. I don't necessarily know that there's that same level of
cooperation.
Yes, collaboration in Chicago. And so coming in kind of bushy-tailed, bright-eyed about what was possible, and then it being hit with the politics of the city of Chicago, it's probably tarnished that relationship. And so I'll say that although it's been a difficult time, we just need to go to Arlington Heights and be done with this, because Chicago is going to be Chicago. We know the politics and all the things that come into play. This is not about what's best for the city, nor what's best for the team. This is about how money can be made and who's going to profit from those decisions. And so if we're truly trying to do what's best for the Bears, and we try already to do what was best for the city, at some point, his job is dependent upon getting this done. And so you got to, you come in with, the best of intentions, but at the end of the day, this is a job. And if he doesn't get this job done, he's not going to be in this job any longer. And so I think, as that is a motivational factor, he's got to show some progress. And simply talking about this for 2-3 years is not good to done. So he's motivated. Let's go to Arlington Heights.
Know when to hold him and know when to fold him. Happy Sunday to hedonism.
Exactly. You tried to do what was best, and now we just got to get this done.
Because best for both parties, you're going to allow the city to still profit off of you, because you are the entity, and you can easily just say, to hell with this. work on your whole plan to go to Bear Paradise and make a paradise out there and make all the money for yourself. You tried to let them get a piece of the action, and they still want more than is
Yes.
to be expected from you and everybody else, just based on people like friends at the park and so on else. So if they your friends, they're gonna help you find ways to utilize Soldier Field in the future years. He wanted shovels in the ground
100%.
by 2025. I think that you kind of put yourself into this trick bag when you said that, and so you are left with no recourse but to take your ball, go home, and Arlington Heights, here we come like I want it anyway, because it gives you the best possible opportunity for the Chicago Bears as a franchise. And unfortunately and fortunately, I'm not a Chicagoan in terms of where I live. It's the sports teams here, they building a new stadium. That's gonna kick down to me anyway. So I get screwed in those things everywhere you go. If they have a sports franchise where you live, it's almost inevitable. I can't be worried about how the government infiltrates us and takes things out of our pockets. You just got to find ways to get it back. With that being said, we'll move into our last actual topic for today, which is Caleb and Carl thoughts. I preface it to say this. We have heard recently this week that Caleb did not want to be a Chicago Bear and in fact wanted to manipulate his way to Minnesota. We have heard that Caleb wanted to go the John Elway type of USFL or the UFL, whatever they call it these days, and he was going to try to do like a Brandon Jennings or the NBA, where you go to CFL league or something, and then at the end of that, come back a year later as a free agent. That wasn't what you can do. You could have went maybe the Bo Jackson route and re-entered the draft, but it still put you at another team.
Right.
He chose said team. Carl has taken shots at the Bears, especially during the Fail Mary game, with validity, if you ask me. Do we think any of those stories at this point, because allegedly another story is that Caleb has a hand-picked coach, do you think all I just talked about matters? Let's just go to ad nauseum. And if not, or if so, why?
No, none of this matters. This is totally irrelevant. It does not matter for a ton of reasons. So, who thinks that now Caleb Williams is with the Chicago Bears, and because he maybe had an opinion or a feeling about them prior to, that he's not going to do all that he can to be successful once he's here? He did, even if you think about it from a very simplistic standpoint. How does he benefit from not doing well? He doesn't. He has to be productive. He is not the first quarterback to go to a team who is not desirable. Typically, bad teams get first round picks and they get the first pick of the draft. This is not abnormal. And the fact that he's only motivated to do well, to increase his brand, his pockets, all the things every other professional athlete has to do is perform when they get out there. So how he felt prior to has very little to do with what he's got to do today, which is go to practice, be a big boy grown up, put on his Bears pants and his jersey, and make this work. I mean, I don't get how I felt about something 2 years ago could change what I got to do today. Today, the job is the job, the standard is the standard. Play football.
And I understand it from that perspective wholeheartedly, and I think I agree with it about 95%. Here's where the 5 may be tweaked.
Okay.
If you look at how he performed last year, it was above average. Some people don't look at it that way. They want to say it's a bust.
Definitely.
Yeah, they want to say it's a bust type of season because you do the comp things, and that's understandable. But I only bring it up because he had trepidations about the Bears specifically because it is just like Musa Muhammad said about wide receivers, where quarterbacks go to die. And we had no refutable evidence to say otherwise. To compound that, last year, his main priority and fear of coming was allegedly one Shane Waldron. And he was right. It's the first time I ever seen an offensive coordinator get fired 9 games in to a damn season. I've never seen that before. Secondly, you contributed to something that I think is on incumbent upon Caleb, like you said, and that's where the 95 come in. Not knowing how to watch film, while the 5% is an indictment on the franchise, it's 95% an indictment on you, Mr. Williams. And I say it like this: you're the first NIL superstar when it comes to this quarterback thing and everything in college and what have you. You got all the gravitas. You a Hollywood guy. You know everybody and everything. I think you knew some damn quarterback that could give you some heads up on when things ain't going right. Somebody you can call during the season and be like, hey, how often do they used to watch film with you, X, Y, and Z? And I think you took I don't think you took much of a concerted effort on your own to seek external things, because for whatever reason, whether you're trying to be too dedicated to the team or if you were just unaware that this is the level of work it takes to be as great as you say you want to be. Mm-hmm. So I need you to lock in totally on the things you need to do this year in terms of being a complete cerebral quarterback, so that you can get all you deserve out of your career, I think. And let's see what Squeegee says about this right here. The mayor of Chicago and the governor wanted the Bears to stay in Chicago. They spent millions of taxpayers' dollars on open road tolling to bring prosperity to the lakefront. They will continue to still hit the Bears with hard taxes. The taxes will go anywhere. The way in which as a franchise that you get to not really care about that, because the taxes will go to everybody. The ownership of your own stadium inherently makes your franchise infinitely more valuable. And while this is the first time that I will not speak about the Chicago Bears in a fan capacity. This is the only way I can think about this is in a logical capacity, which is business. It is very lucrative for you to own. Robert Kraft is the owner of the New England Patriots because he owned property, aka the parking lot, when the Patriots moved to Foxborough. The parking lot in turn gave him enough revenue generated to own the damn franchise. And yes, when they move places, like I said, the Cleveland Browns are moving to a suburb. It's not coming to me right now, so I won't spend too much time on it. But they're moving this year, and those taxpayer dollars will be spent. They're going to spend all ours. They're going to do us real dirty, because that's what politicians do, and this is the political thing. And so I understand that. For me, it's, if I got to look at it that way and I'm getting rain regardless, what's the best possible thing? And having a place that the roads are already built or the infrastructure is much easier. You get to have a whole holistic experience in terms of it being a paradise, because we all lived in Chicago. So downtown Soldier Field is a cramped space and not a place that you can operate, tailgate, and do everything you want to do, including leave the damn stadium at the end. And we know how construction work happens in the city. Lastly, Squeeze says he put in his application with Cook County to move to Arlington Heights. Well wishes. I don't wish you luck. Well wishes, bro. If you put in an application and it's vocational or it's related to your job in any capacity, Squeeze, I've seen some of your comments and all of the goddamn chaos. You got the aptitude to go ahead and have confidence in that, bro. So well wishes to you, because I already know you're gonna have luck with it. I just wish you some good fortune when it comes to being able to secure some Bears season tickets and getting a cheap NSL or something like that, if that's what you're trying to get. Because I talk about this from a lens that I probably won't visit Arlington Heights, but I might, just to see the novelty one time. So I might go to one game when everybody. Okay, what else I was gonna say? One day we gonna find a game that's worth going to, but today in the here and now, I won't be like looking towards going to a Bears game for real until they in the dome. Because like we play the Cleveland Browns December 14th, the day before my birthday. We play in Chicago. I'm not going outside to sit in that goddamn game, and I know we gonna win. I don't want to sit outside, man. I'm on the lakefront. Go give me a dome.
Can we touch base on this Caleb is a bust conversation real briefly?
Go right ahead.
How? Who's saying that this? Who is? Because there's two fronts, right? So there's the conversation of people who maybe didn't watch the games but look at the stat line, and then there's people who watch the games and ignore the stat line. The whole eye test.
Mm-hmm.
Which group of people is saying that he's a bust? Is it the people watching the games and saying that doesn't look like a quarterback who's capable, or is it people who simply are looking at the stat line who's saying the numbers aren't what we would expect them to be? Which bag are these people in?
I mean, I'm gonna say the majority come from the latter bag, but I will not dispute some of the others coming from the quote unquote good bag, only because people say they're comparative by nature. And when you see the lowly Commanders go ahead and go to the NFC Championship game for whatever the reason is, because they had both of those quarterbacks had comparable stats, and one of them set an actual rookie record and almost had the NFL record for not throwing a pick. People will say a whole bunch of things.
Did he have the NFL record?
No, he got
almost. I thought he actually.
He got the rookie record.
Okay.
And so like the craziness to that, and if you just got the same message that I just got.
I'm looking. Hold on.
The comparative thing is always going to be that we regressed as a team.
Right.
We as a team, we understand fan wise what the large majority of that was, but everybody doesn't see it that way. And just like Squeegee said, Caleb had reservations before talking to Poles and then changed his mind. So, with that being said, when you couple that people now like, oh, he didn't want to be there and this, that, and the third, who is it? Chris Canty every day on Unsportsmanlike is the spearhead Jaden Daniels fan club, and he just swears that the Bears made this catastrophic mistake by drafting Caleb over Jaden, and I couldn't disagree more, because I think that no matter who was drafted, they would have found a way to bear him up. And I never wanted to associate, like Jonathan Hood on ESPN says, you put Patrick Mahomes on the Bears and he becomes a boob. And I used to be so like, Jay Hood, you are saying the most idiotic thing in the world. But when you think about the staffs we've had in the past, when you think about the way we handling people, bro, like seriously, people talk about this bum year he had. 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 3,500 yards. That's what I'm saying. People say that's a bad, horrible year, but it's attached to us. It's more us than it is him. It's Bears gonna bear. It's like, how'd you take him and he only got 20 touchdowns? And it's an indictment on us more than him, but the stigma is justified because we find ways to make everybody look fucking bad. Jay Cutler has some, seriously, you can hate Jay. Jay has some. We was in the NFC Championship game, bro. Let's just stop. Please get past that and act like he wasn't no along for the ride quarterback.
No. I get your point.
Hold on. So just hear me out. We were an NFC Championship team with that dude. He gets so much shit because why the team?
Not likable.
But listen though. If we win a Super Bowl, who likes you don't really fucking mean nothing. They're gonna like you a little bit more. What I'm saying is this: the coaching staff, i.e., and I love Lovey. You were so ineffective in getting the proper OC throughout his career that it meant a hill of beans, and so it looked like a holistic failure when it actually wasn't. Fast forward, Caleb had a year that was nothing like catastrophic or a failure, but because of the fucking team and things around him, it is taken to the umpteenth level because of our reputation. We sully the reputation of everybody, no matter what it is.
Right? Like we're under the microscope.
Yeah, I mean, but the failure we've had. Go ahead.
So here's what I'll say. I'll say that without expectations, none of this happens, right? So you only put the Bears, Caleb Williams, under the microscope because you have expectations of them, right? Like no one expected Caleb Williams to come in and do horribly. And so because he's had success in the past, and now you see, all these tools around him, and you see all these talking heads saying all these things, you start to have expectations about what things are supposed to look like this season or last season. And I think that's wonderful. That's great. Like without expectations, and if no one expects anything from you, then what's the point of being in the league? And so what I'll say is he exceeded expectations, or at least lived up to the expectations. Now, did we get the productivity in terms of wins? No, but there are countless games where had it not been for Caleb, making drives at the end of games. He's got to overcome a lot. This kind of goes with the culture conversation. Ben Johnson this year is going to have to overcome a lot. The coaching staff is going to have to overcome a lot. But if you are fearful of what the expectations may be, this is not the right job for you. And I feel like when Caleb Williams came in, although the comparison to Jaden Daniels is there and the win column is, stacked against you, if you crumble in those moments, if you are not happy about the opportunity to show up and prove everyone wrong on a weekly basis, then you should not be playing professional football.
And I concur 100%.
That's just my take on it.
But the argument is nothing about the player or the coach. This is about past performance of a franchise. And so acknowledging
my question was how is Caleb a bust?
Because
I get how we didn't help him.
But I don't know if you do get it, because this is why. Everything we touch as a franchise has turned to shit. I'll give you an example. You're going to hate him again, but check it out. My rookie quarterback, J. Christopher Cutler, was a fucking Pro Bowler. Not a fill-in. Yes. He was a Pro Bowl quarterback. We traded for him, and somehow people view him as a mediocre 51-51 team record quarterback. That's what he's viewed as. We took a Pro Bowler, and they made him mediocre by perception because of the franchise. Because before he was here, he was a Pro Bowl quarterback in Denver. When he came here, NFC Championship game or anything else didn't matter. Starting 7-1 before we got injured didn't matter. He is villainized partly because of him, but because of the stigma of ineptitude in Chicago. The people that go with this bust mindset or mantra are doing it more so, in my opinion, because of past practice on the Bears franchise on a whole. 120 years, we've never had a 4,000-yard quarterback. How many franchises have not had one?
We're the only one.
We're the only fucking one. So what I'm saying is, I don't believe it or agree that this year that continues, because we started out with the question of how they can have sustained success, and I think we've highlighted several points in that one. The ultimate.
That's why you get the first pick of the draft, right? Like, you get the first pick of the draft because you need someone who can overcome some of these things. And so it doesn't have to be a hero football where one person has to overcome these things. But you get the first pick of the draft because you need someone who's above, who can exceed expectations, who's above average, who has the ability to transcend a franchise. You don't go get the first pick of the draft because you want them to plug in and fit in and keep things moving as normal. They need to be disruptors of an entire culture. And so you got to pick the person who you think carries that ability. And so going to get someone who may be more productive in the first season versus trying to find someone who can transcend an organization, those are different attributes.
Okay.
Picking plays and schemes to win games ultimately leads to a more productive and a change in culture over time. But having someone who can withstand, the Hail Mary plays and the fumbles and the missed field goals within, all of those moments of adversity, that takes a unique personality, someone who has ultimate confidence in themselves and what they've done to be able to transcend those things. And I would like those things to show up as W's right away, but whether or not they show up as W's this season or next season or in the seasons to come, I think that's a personality trait that you have to go get. And sometimes that person is not just going to be productive right out of the gate.
Well, I think that in this particular context of conversation, we are misunderstanding the whole context. This started out by why people want to call him a bust. You are, in essence, trying to tell me why he won't be and the things that he's shown you as a fan that shows you the fortitude that he can't succeed. I'm not questioning.
Simply his stat line.
No. But hear me out. But I'm not questioning any of those things. The question started out as to why people think he's a bust. Those things that we see, despite him not having proper film, guidance, structure, so on and so forth, and he still persevered, in my estimation, tells me a different picture. The question is not about what we think about him moving forward. The question was, why do people call him a bust? And they call him a bust in that context because they saw all the horrific things around him, and those things are indicative for one reason and one reason only. They are consistent. Matt Eberflus, a 10-game losing streak and a 14-game. That man himself had both of those streaks. That man himself had 3 of the biggest NFL history meltdowns in terms of blowing a game, meaning you had a 94% or more probability to win. He found a way in the Bears' history to have 3 of those on his docket. The year before, he found a way last year to lose a game in the Hail Mary, and 2 blocked field goals cost you 2 division games back to back. What I'm saying is all of those things in some way, shape, or form, i.e. Trustman, i.e. Nagy and his menu, cash, quiet, now. All of those things we've seen over and over and over again. Have we not seen failure more than we seen success?
But that's not.
No. Sir, could you answer my question, please? Have we seen more failure than success?
Yes.
The people that feel as though he will be a bust are basing it off of what we are talking about now, not him. You are trying to quantify it to him and him alone. I am telling you that you know me personally, and you know my cousin. Mm-hmm. Which one of us do you want driving the stick shift? Go.
I don't.
Which one of us? Which one of you know both of us? Which one of us you handing the keys to drive your stick shift? Me or Freezy?
Probably your cousin.
Probably your cousin. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm trying to understand the context.
I can't drive a fucking stick. So if we have people who can't drive a stick all the time driving a stick, we gonna assume they're gonna crash the goddamn car. We have done nothing but crash the car, Dedrick. So I don't care who gets in it.
But the question is it a good stick shift?
No, the question is I can't drive a stick, so why would you give me the keys? What I'm saying is the Bears are the car. Every quarterback you give it to, it's built in that we know he can't drive the stick. And this is how we know. Because we ain't taught his ass. And we never teach them. They don't learn how to drive the stick when they come there. We got to teach them. And we are the people teaching them how to crash year after year after year after year after year. We ain't taught nobody how to drive the goddamn car. So why they call him a bust? No, but listen, hold on. But this is indifferent. I don't agree with it. You asked the why. I'm not telling you why I don't think it at all. I'm telling you this is the facts. If you keep giving me the keys to the goddamn stick, I'm going to keep crashing because I don't know how to fucking drive it. But if you find somebody competent who knows how to teach me how to drive that bitch, maybe I can go ahead. I.e. insert Ben Johnson this year. That's what we assuming this year. I think Caleb know how to fundamentally drive a stick. But I think the coach is going to teach him how to use those gears that we don't know about. I believe that he's going to be this race car driver that we think he is. But in the past, we have never developed a race car driver. So why would anybody believe that he's going to be any different on the outside is what I'm saying. They're going to attribute that both of those franchises were bad last year. In fact, one of them was a 3-win team. One was a 7-win team who didn't even deserve the first overall pick. But they got it because of a trade. You took a 7-win team and made it worse. By proxy, it's going to be comparative because you are the most different thing on the team last year. Out of all the things on our team last year, the ultimate difference on both of those franchises was quarterback. True or false? Mm-hmm. And this is where we get to prove that it matters. In Washington, they had a brand new coaching regime to go with their management. And that proved to be a world of a difference. I'm saying if you bring Jaden here, he would have had the same mediocrity that was being placed upon Caleb by proxy because of the bum franchise that we have been. Bear's gonna bear. I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But I agree with you. He's not gonna be that. But I'm saying this is why they feel he's a bust. That's all. This is why they think he's a bust.
I get what you're saying. You have to overcome, right? Like so, the Jaden Daniels coming to the Bears, right? There's a lot you have to overcome coming to the Chicago Bears franchise.
Yes.
And I don't know what it means to go to any other franchise. I can only tell you about the one I've witnessed and watched, right? For the amount of time that I have. And so you have to overcome a different set of hurdles. I don't know if they're any bigger, or any less, but it's different, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
they're the same way struggling to find a quarterback. Same struggles can be said about trying to find a head coach. And so all of these things, I
We
mean,
can't say
these
that
people
though.
get paid millions of dollars
But
and are put in situations where they need to be successful. And so I don't give them any excuses in their inability to do their jobs well, but it's a hard job.
and I don't care about the excuses. We care about the result. And what I'm saying is, we've had way less of a problem finding head Hall of Fame coaches. We got one of them. He got a Super Bowl. What I'm telling you is, this franchise, since Muggsy Hallis died, which is Papa Bear's son, we have done nothing but crash the fucking car. So on the outside looking in, why would anybody say you can drive a car? And why would anybody say that the person you got driving the car this time ain't gonna crash? Because everybody has crashed the car. I'm not telling you that it's warranted in terms of your belief based on the things that we know that have changed. I'm saying on the outside looking in, if I know you to be a car crasher, what today is going to have me believe anything different than you're going to crash it? Nothing has given you any goodwill to believe otherwise. I'm not telling you that you can't become this car driver. What I'm telling you is, the outside looking in has said that he's a bust because one of those people took a 3-win team and made them an NFC Championship squad. The other one took a 7-win team and made them even more blunderous than they were the year before. So I understand that we absolve these things because we have a new direction. That new direction last year is the reason why Jaden does not get the criticism for being a failure. I believe what you saying. We agree on said regimes. What I'm trying to tell you is, the people that believe what they believed it because of that and nothing else. I'm not trying to sway you. I'm not trying to change your mind. I don't disagree with you. We started the conversation on why they believe he is a bust, and that is why. And we have no basis of information to say that he wouldn't be, because we have made everybody else a bust before him. So with that being said, him having decent numbers last year, the team still performed like they did, and you spoke to a franchise player or a game changer making things better because we had such an inept thing around him over and over and over again. This year, he gets to prove that he is what you said he is and go ahead and move the needle on his own in addition to the team. I think that is the case, but the people that don't believe it because of the reason that I spoke of. It doesn't matter whether we agree or not. This is why they believe that. And so, just like we talked about with the Lions, the narrative can only be changed by changing the narrative. We cannot in any way try to be like, well, it don't matter they crashed every year. They're going to learn how to drive. No, show me you know how to drive. I understand that I believe we're going to learn how to drive, but the Chris Cantys and everybody in the world that say he not going to learn, they saying it because we ain't never learned how to drive. And I don't agree with them, but that's why they saying it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, essentially they're saying that he will not be able to overcome
Us. That's right.
us. Yeah, I get that.
We gonna trip him up.
But that's why we play the game. Yeah, well, that's why we play the game. The same thing could be said for the Lions. The same thing can be said for a number of other organizations. We don't believe it until we see it. And so if you're not a fan of the team, I totally understand where you're coming from. But I mean, all of these things, these are, sports, ebbs and flows, right? Like, so there was times where the Lions weren't good. There were times where, the Patriots weren't good. There were times when the Lakers weren't good. Go to any sport team, it comes and goes. The only way you change the narrative is by going out there and being productive.
Yeah. It's just like 120 years of a narrative is pretty hard to overcome.
The Cubs weren't good. There was a time where the Cubs were not good.
106 years of ineptitude on the whole. And
sometimes it takes longer for some organizations than others, right?
But they called us the lovable losers until that changed, right?
Right.
So there was nothing to change that narrative per se. We had hope in 2015, but up until that point, they were still gonna call everything that was seen as hope, i.e., the Bartman year. That was a pretty good year, right?
Mhm.
We found a way to.
There's a lot of Jay
No,
Cutler
no,
years that
no.
were
But
good
that's
years.
what
There's a lot of
what I'm
playoff
saying.
appearances.
But we found a way to make that the special occasion in our on the whole for the career of the team, and so we attribute failure to the team holistically. And I give you the prime example. We have had a top-rated offense so infrequently in history, people don't even remember the time we did. Because as much as Mark
Mhm.
Trestman was a bum, we had a top 3 offense with Mark Trestman, Martellus Bennett, Jay Cutler, Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, and Matt Forte. Everybody throws that in the garbage. You know why? Because we had a 31st ranked defense. And so it was all thrown in the garbage. And so the thing that we always were known for, we weren't even known for that year. What I'm saying is the consistency
Yeah.
and inconsistency for us is the reason why they say no matter what, we can have pop-up playoff years, we can have pop-up good quarterback years, but ultimately we're going to fail because we the Bears. The conversation of our whole episode here is to see can the new regime change the way in which we as a whole, not just the fan base, because we got a lot of fans that have the same Captain Killjoy attitude. Are we going to be able to change the national narrative that the Bears are going to bear no matter what? Because up until this point, including last year, we've done nothing but feed further into it, and you give nobody besides Vegas gives us any credit to be able to dig out of that. I believe in Vegas and a prognostication. I believe more in we fudged away more things than we needed to last year. The proof has to be in the pudding this year so that the people that feel strongly against that have to take those words with no seasoning, ball them up with paper, and eat them some bitches. Because otherwise, as we know in society, if you give one evidential piece of fact, for lack of a better term, that goes along with what people think, it only feeds the beast even more. It never recedes it. And so as many good things as we know he did last year, because we give so much confidence to Patrick Mahomes not being able to read defenses before he learned. And we say, damn, if he couldn't read defenses, wait until he learned. Well, I'm going to give the same caveat out here before we break it down, that Caleb went through absolute shit and turmoil last year, and still, in that particular instance, managed to throw for 3,100 yards, managed to have 3,500 yards total, managed to throw for 20 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions, set a rookie record for consecutive passes without an interception. And once he is coached by people who teach him the Thomas Brown metric of getting rid of the ball power player, I think that the Ben Johnson rhetoric, as we call it right now, that says Caleb will throw for 4,000 several times in his career, I think it is absolute fact. Nothing fictional about it. I'm going to let it be proven. Mr. Bluefax, what do you say to finish that off before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I guess in closing, bear down, right? Let's move forward, and we can talk all day about I think how we got here, but in terms of like doing some things that make sense and being very practical about like the approach that we're taking for the franchise, seeing a lot of positives, right? Seeing a lot of momentum being made. One in from the coaching staff, right? Being able to shore up some of those things, being able to get people who have had success and who have had success recently going to get offensive line, being able to put together a roster that looks very similar to some, as some would say, what the Lions have done. So not going to create a whole new thing, but taking past success and building upon that. So I'm excited about what's to come, right? Even though we didn't do great last year, I was excited every time we played a game because I felt like we had a chance to win those games, because I felt in a lot of cases we had a quarterback who had shown us that he could be productive. And so before we get to winning Super Bowls, let's have consistent productivity, and I think we are headed in that direction.
I don't think there's nothing else to really say about it. What do you say? Who ready
Who's
to
ready
get swept by the Lions?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Marcus, go ahead and give him a rebuttal fast.
Yeah, go. I would say I'm ready to get swept by the Lions. If that happens, I mean, kudos to you. But we taken your blueprint essentially, right? We saw success with your team. We took a lot of that staff, the biggest piece of that staff. And if y'all could be productive without your offensive coordinator, hats off to you. So if you don't beat us, we know why, because we took the talent. If you do beat us, then continue to
And
do so. But I don't know how long that's gonna happen.
I can't believe that I even forgot it. I'm still buffering, and then Squeegee, I'm gonna have to. We gonna get together. My tech game is way worse than my video game play. We gonna figure out everything just like your boy G Honda say. We building as we fly it. I am learning how to work through a couple of those things and troubleshooting. Hopefully, the consistency, like my Bears, gets a bit better. We do got a good question because I totally dropped the ball on it. Schedule release happened this week. I know everybody fans of different teams in the chat. Marcus, power player, do you have a particular game that you're most excited about on your schedule this year? I got a few myself personally because I am a transplant living in Cleveland, so it is always
We got 5 primetime games this season,
we
right?
do have 5 primetime games, and more because we're gonna get flexed in. Don't make no mistakes. When we kicking people's ass like the Lions, they're gonna flex us in a couple times because they want to see more of us and less of you.
Yeah.
Conversely, we have a rematch, better known as the Fail Mary last year. So I'm out here to hope that you drive nothing but a knee in the nuts of Commanders fans, because as much as I anticipate beating the Browns because I live here and I want to talk shit to those bums all the time, beating the Commanders and kind of having Caleb be able to right a wrong, as last year that game was critical, and losing the Rookie of the Year altogether for Caleb. In that particular game, Jaden was a negative 105. Caleb was I believe like a negative 115. Both of them were in the catbird seat to go ahead and make a statement for themselves. The drive at the end of the game, obviously, for Caleb would have put him at least for the moment in front. But we know what Jaden did afterwards. Thank you, Matt Eberflus. And you Fluses again. They kind of cemented the game for him last year. What games, if any, do people have that they look forward to most? Because I